Okay, so today we're going to begin learning how to multiply one-digit numbers by multiples of 10. Our central question that we'll work on is how do I multiply one-digit whole numbers by multiples of 10 using place value and properties of operations understanding. So today we're going to be focusing on the place value aspect of being able to multiply one-digit numbers by multiples of 10. So here's an example of a problem that we would learn how to multiply today. You see we have our one-digit number, which is a 7. We're going to be multiplying that number by a multiple of 10. 80 is a multiple of 10. And we'll be doing this today by using the base 10 system. Okay, now let's look at an example. Our base 10 knowledge will help us in this instance because anytime we multiply by 10, we move it to the next place value and add a 0. Now let's talk about that, because if you just hear that, that might sound confusing. So first let's look at these tens, rods, and sticks. Right here, if we count each of these yellow rectangles, each of them represent 10. So if we do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 7 rods or sticks equals 70. That's the same thing as saying 7 tens is the same thing as 70, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tens. If you look over here, here's our next example. Let's go ahead and count each of our tens rods. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 14 rods, so that's the same thing as 14 tens. So if we count by 10 and recount each of our rods, we'll see that we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. So 14 rods is the same thing as 140, and 14 tens is the same thing as 140. Notice how we add a 0 to the end, just like how up here you add a 0. So here's another example. When trying to find the product of a multiple of 10, we need to think of those tens rods and how many tens rods we would need. So just like we would use the ones block to represent 3 times 6, here's 6 groups of 3. We get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We know that 3 times 6 is 18. So now, if you notice over here, 30 times 6 is similar to 3 times 6 because it has the same one-digit number. And then if you notice, we've added a 0 to the second one-digit number. We've changed the 3 to a 30. So what we can do with our base 10 rods is we can basically set apart 6 groups of 30. So each rod represents 10. 10, 20, 30. That's one group of 30. Now I'm going to make another group of 30. 10, 20, 30. That's two groups of 30. Now I keep going. 10, 20, 30. That's 3 groups of 30. Another one. 10, 20, 30, 4 groups. Another group. 10, 20, 30. That's my 5th group. And as you can see up here, my single digit number is 6. So I need to have 6 groups of 30. So I'm going to do one more group of 30. 10, 20, 30. So I have my 6th group with 30 in each group. This is one group. There's 30 there. 30, 30, 30, 30, and 30. Now, if I count each of my tens rods, I can find my complete answer. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180. So 30 times 6 is 180. Notice how 3 times 6 over here, my answer is 18. 30 times 6, where I add a 0 to my 3 in my ones place, now 18 turns into 180. I've added a 0 to the end. Now, the next one I would like for you to pause and try on your own. Please try number 1, using your tens rods to find your answer, 50 times 4. Pause now and then check your answer. If you're going to check your answer, that means you have worked out on your response page what you think it would look like for 50 times 4. Here's what your solution should look like. I have one group of 50 here, another group of 50 here, a third group of 50 here, and my final group of 50. If you add 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50, or go each 10 rods, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and so on, you would get a total of 200, which means that 50 times 4 is 200. If you would like to try and solve your next problem, please solve problem number 2, 30 times 3 on your video response sheet. Pause the video now, and when you're ready to check your answer, unpause. Remember, you can go back and rewind to view the tutorial ahead of time. If you need to go back and double check for understanding, if you're still confused, maybe you got the answer wrong, go back and watch from the beginning to help you. Here is the results for the second problem, 30 times 3. As you can see, 30 plus 30 plus 30 is 90. So 30 times 3 equals 90. Please do not be afraid to go back and review, rewind, fast forward, pause as needed until you understand this concept.